When the mind is troubled, when it wavers between this path and that, between action and inaction, between what is right and what is merely easier, remember this: the mind is your own. No man can command it but you. No force outside of you can twist it unless you allow it. Confusion arises not from the world, but from within. The sun does not wonder if it should rise, the river does not question whether it should flow. And yet, we who are given reason, who are gifted with the ability to judge, often find ourselves in turmoil. Why? Because we have forgotten what is in our power and what is not. The mind is like a fortress. If you leave its gates open to every thought, every fear, every desire, then chaos will rule within. But if you guard it, if you allow only that which is useful, only that which is true, then you will stand unshaken. Ask yourself, what troubles me? Is it something in my power to change? If so, act. If not, why do I trouble myself? The archer does not weep over the wind, he adjusts his aim. The sailor does not curse the storm, he sets his sail accordingly. And so must you master yourself, rather than curse the world. Confusion is merely the dust stirred up by unchecked emotion. Let it settle. Be still. Observe. Do not rush to grasp at every fleeting thought, for they are like leaves in the wind, here for a moment, gone the next. Stand firm as the tree that does not chase after them. Above all, remember this: the mind that seeks clarity must first silence its own noise. The wise man does not seek peace outside himself, he cultivates it within, and once he has found it, no confusion, no fear, no external force can take it from him. The mind is your own and no one can command it but you. If confusion has taken hold, it is not because the world has made it so, but because you have allowed disorder to enter. The mind, like a fortress, stands or falls by the discipline of its keeper. If you do not guard its gates, if you do not decide what is permitted within, then any passing thought, fear, or desire will enter and claim dominion. A confused mind is not a weak mind, nor is it a broken one. It is merely a mind that has forgotten its own authority. When you stand at a crossroads, uncertain which path to take, do not look outward for the answer. Do not seek clarity in the noise of the world, in the opinions of others, or in the shifting nature of fortune. Look inward. The mind that is trained to be still will find the way. Confusion often arises because we mistake external disturbances for internal ones. The storm outside is not the storm within unless we open our doors and let it in. The wise man does not trouble himself over what is beyond his control. He does not allow the winds of circumstance to dictate his peace. If a thought unsettles you, ask, is it within my power to change? If yes, then act. If no, then let it pass. For what sense is there in struggling against what cannot be moved? Discipline is the remedy for confusion. A mind that is accustomed to wandering will wander in circles when faced with uncertainty. But a mind that has been trained to question, trained to reason, trained to discard what is unnecessary will not be so easily lost. When the mind is disciplined, it does not react to every impulse, nor does it grasp at every doubt that presents itself. Instead, it examines, it chooses, and it stands firm. If the mind is troubled, let it be still. There is no wisdom in rushing to a decision simply to escape uncertainty. The archer does not release his arrow without first finding his aim. The sailor does not set sail without first reading the winds. Why then should a man act while his mind is clouded? Clarity does not come through haste. It comes through patience, through observation, through the refusal to be ruled by fleeting emotions. To handle a confused mind, one must first acknowledge its confusion without fear. The mind is not weakened by uncertainty, it is weakened by the belief that uncertainty is an enemy. In truth, confusion is merely the signal that the mind must pause, reflect, and clear away the noise. A traveler does not curse the fog but waits for it to lift. So too must you wait, not in passivity, but in readiness. The mind will find its way, if only you trust it to do so. No one commands it but you. Confusion arises not from the world, but from within. The world simply moves as it always has, unchanging in its nature, indifferent to the concerns of man. The sun rises and falls, the seasons turn, and the river flows to the sea, whether man stands still or runs in circles. It is not the world that creates disorder in the mind, it is the mind that allows itself to be disturbed by what it does not understand, by what it cannot control, by the expectations it places upon what is outside of itself. A man sees two paths before him and does not know which to take. He blames the road for its uncertainty, when in truth, it is not the road that is unclear, it is his own mind that hesitates. Another man seeks the approval of those around him, changing himself to fit their shifting opinions, and when he feels lost, he believes it is the fault of others. Yet it is not the voices outside that have led him astray, but his own willingness to be moved by them. A mind that does not anchor itself in reason, that does not hold firm to what is within its power, will always find itself at the mercy of the world. Confusion is born when the mind is at war with itself. It desires two things at once, torn between what is right and what is easy, between what it wants and what it fears. A man who does not know himself will always find himself lost, because he is not guided by principle, but by the emotions of the moment. When he is praised, he feels certain; when he is criticized, he feels doubt. When the path is clear, he moves with confidence; when the path is hidden, he falters. But the world has not changed between these moments, only his own mind has wavered. The wise man understands that clarity does not come from changing the world, but from disciplining the mind. If the waters of a lake are stirred, they become clouded and chaotic, reflecting nothing with clarity. But if left undisturbed, the water settles, and its surface becomes clear once more. So too with a mind when it is restless, filled with conflicting desires, fears, and distractions, it cannot see the truth. But when it is trained to be still, to be patient, to seek what is within its power and let go of what is not, then confusion has no place to take root. A troubled mind must not seek peace outside itself, for the world does not grant peace, nor does it take it away. A man may be surrounded by chaos and remain unmoved, just as another may stand in quiet solitude and still feel lost. The difference is not in the world but in the mind that perceives it. When the mind is disciplined, when it does not look outward for stability but finds it within, confusion has no foothold. The world remains as it is, only the mind must learn to master itself. Guard your mind like a fortress, allow only what is useful and true. The mind is the seat of all perception, the lens through which the world is seen. If it is clouded by doubt, fear, or distraction, then even the clearest path will appear uncertain. Just as a fortress must be defended from those who seek to breach its walls, so too must the mind be protected from thoughts that weaken, mislead, or corrupt it. A man who leaves his gates open to every wandering idea, every fear whispered by the wind, will soon find himself overrun by confusion. Not every thought deserves entry. Many come uninvited, stirred by emotion, by the words of others, or by the shifting nature of fortune. A careless mind lets them all in, treating them as guests when they are intruders. The wise man, however, stands at the gate and asks, "Is this thought useful? Is it true? Will it serve my purpose, or will it lead me astray?" If a thought does not strengthen the mind, it weakens it. If it does not bring clarity, it brings disorder. Just as a city under siege must ration its resources, the mind must be selective in what it allows to take root. Confusion often arises because the mind has been left unguarded. A man who listens to every opinion, who allows every fear to shape his course, who clings to every passing desire, will find himself pulled in all directions. He moves, not by reason, but by impulse. One day he believes one thing, the next day another, because he has allowed too many voices to speak within him. But a mind that is disciplined, that allows only what is useful and true, remains steadfast. It is not shaken by doubt, because it has already examined what it holds to be certain. It is not distracted by empty fears, because it has already decided what deserves concern and what does not. A fortress does not lower its walls because a passerby demands entry. It does not open its gates to every stranger who knocks. The mind must do the same. When a thought arises, it must be examined. Is it grounded in reason, or is it born of emotion? Does it serve my purpose, or does it only create turmoil? If it does not meet these tests, it must be discarded. No man is obligated to entertain every thought that enters his mind. He is only obligated to keep it strong, clear, and focused on what is within his control. The mind, once trained to guard itself, will not be easily swayed. It will not be troubled by the noise of the world, nor will it be led astray by the chaos of fleeting emotions. It will hold firm, allowing only that which is of value to enter. And in this, confusion will find no place to dwell. If something is in your power, act. If not, let it go. A confused mind often struggles because it tries to grasp what is beyond its reach. It worries over the past, which cannot be changed, and fears the future, which has not yet arrived. It seeks control over others, over fortune, over the turning of the seasons, forgetting that none of these things belong to it. A man who fights against the unchangeable only exhausts himself, while the man who focuses on what is within his power moves forward with clarity. There is no confusion in action. If the path is clear and the decision is within your control, then act without hesitation. The farmer does not stand in the field wondering if the seeds will grow. He plants them and tends them. The warrior does not wait for certainty before raising his shield. He moves as the battle demands. Action dissolves doubt, because once the deed is done, the mind no longer wastes itself in deliberation. But what of the things that cannot be controlled? The words of others, the judgments of the world, the rise and fall of fortune. These are beyond your reach. A mind that obsesses over them, that tries to force what is not within its grasp, will only drive itself into deeper confusion. A man who stands at the shore and commands the tide to stop will only exhaust himself in futility. A man who lets the tide rise and fall as it must, while preparing his boat accordingly, wastes no effort. To free the mind from confusion, one must separate what is within his power from what is not. When facing difficulty, ask, can I act upon this? Can I change it? If so, then let action replace hesitation. If not, then release it from your mind. To carry what you cannot control is to burden yourself with needless weight. A traveler does not fill his pack with stones before a long journey. He carries only what is necessary. The mind, too, must travel light. The mind becomes clear when it learns this discipline. It does not waste itself in arguments over things that cannot be changed. It does not become paralyzed by choices that are not its own to make. It does not become consumed by fears that belong to the uncertain future. Instead, it focuses only on what can be done in the present moment. When a man understands this, confusion fades. He moves as nature intended, acting when action is needed, and letting go when nothing can be done. A man who follows this principle does not feel powerless in the face of life's uncertainties. He understands that control is not found in grasping everything, but in choosing wisely where to place his effort. A mind that knows what is within its power is never lost, never restless, never confused. It simply does what it can and releases the rest. Be still and do not chase every fleeting thought like leaves in the wind. The mind, when left unchecked, rushes from one thought to another, never resting, never finding clarity. It grasps at possibilities, fears, desires, and doubts, believing that by pursuing them all, it will find certainty. But just as a man who runs after the wind only exhausts himself, so too does the mind become weary and confused when it chases every passing thought. A confused mind is not one that lacks intelligence but one that lacks stillness. It is too eager to answer every question immediately, to resolve every uncertainty at once, to act without first observing. It mistakes movement for progress, believing that the more it thinks, the clearer it will become. Yet clarity does not come from frantic thought but from disciplined stillness. Just as a pond reflects clearly when its waters are undisturbed, the mind sees truth only when it is calm. To still the mind, one must resist the urge to react to every passing impulse. A man who hears a whisper of doubt may let it consume him, allowing it to grow into fear. Another who feels a fleeting desire may abandon his course, believing that satisfaction lies in pursuing something new. But what is a whisper today will be forgotten tomorrow. What seems urgent now may mean nothing in an hour. Thoughts come and go, shaped by emotion, by the words of others, by the changing nature of the world. If the mind follows them all, it will never stand firm, never find peace. Stillness is not inaction. It is the ability to let thoughts pass without being ruled by them. Just as a man standing by a river does not try to hold on to the water, but lets it flow past him, so too must the mind observe its thoughts without being carried away. When a doubt arises, ask, is this thought useful? When a fear presents itself, ask, is it grounded in reason? When a desire appears, ask, does this serve my purpose? If the thought is fleeting, if it holds no weight, then let it drift away as naturally as it came. The mind, once trained in stillness, no longer wavers at every breeze. It does not become restless in uncertainty, nor does it feel the need to chase after every possible outcome. It sees things as they are, without distortion, without panic. It understands that not every thought requires action, not every question requires an immediate answer. Some things resolve themselves in time, others do not need resolving at all. A man who does not chase every thought is not easily disturbed. He moves with purpose, not impulse. He does not exhaust himself in the pursuit of what is fleeting but remains steady, allowing wisdom to emerge naturally. The world may be full of noise, full of distractions, full of endless possibilities, but the mind that has learned to be still is not troubled by them. It remains clear, focused, and free from confusion. The wise man cultivates peace within, unshaken by external forces. He does not look to the world to grant him stability, nor does he allow the shifting nature of fortune to dictate his state of mind. He understands that true peace is not found in the absence of difficulty, nor in the control of all circumstances, but in the mastery of himself. The world will always be in motion, full of unexpected turns, full of praise one moment and criticism the next, full of gain and loss, triumph and defeat. If a man ties his peace to such things, he will never find it, for he will always be at their mercy. A confused mind is often one that looks outward for stability, seeking certainty in the words of others, in the security of possessions, in the approval of society. But these are fragile foundations, easily taken away, easily changed. A man who places his peace in them will always be restless, for he will always fear their loss. The wise man, however, knows that peace must be rooted within. He does not depend on what is outside his control but cultivates a mind that remains steady regardless of circumstance. To do this, he practices detachment from what is temporary. He does not cling to every fleeting desire, nor does he allow every difficulty to disturb him. He understands that suffering often comes not from events themselves but from the way the mind reacts to them. He does not see hardship as a curse, nor success as a guarantee of lasting happiness. He takes each moment as it comes, responding with reason, rather than reacting with emotion. The wise man also disciplines his thoughts. He does not allow his mind to be filled with fear, anger, or doubt, for he knows that what he allows to take root within him will shape his reality. If he nurtures peace, then no storm will shake him. If he allows confusion to grow, then even the smallest troubles will seem overwhelming. He guards his mind as a gardener tends his soil, removing what is harmful and planting only what is useful. When faced with uncertainty, he does not rush to escape it through distraction or impulse. He remains still, allowing clarity to emerge naturally. He understands that not all questions need immediate answers, not all fears require action, and not all desires must be pursued. He does not let the noise of the world disturb the silence he has cultivated within himself. A mind that has learned to remain unshaken is a mind that cannot be controlled by fear or circumstance. It does not waver when tested, nor does it break under pressure. It moves with intention, speaks with wisdom, and acts with purpose. While others seek peace in the ever-changing world, the wise man carries it within him, untouched, unwavering, and free from confusion.